G'day and welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to do a video about rifle cant. What we're talking about rifle cant is we're talking about this is an unloaded rifle. You'll have to trust me on that, and you're a camera, so don't worry. We're talking about where the rifle is dead straight, it's tilted to one side or tilted to the other side. That's what we're talking about when we're referring to cant. A couple of things to talk about. I suppose to measure cant, what you're doing is, in done properly, it's done with a spirit level of some form or other. Now there's ceramic balls and bits and pieces. This one here, I use a US Optics bubble level, which means there's a little bubble on the side here. I've got an image out in the field of what it is, and that shows me where I've got the rifle positioned, right back to, and I can center it up. It is a bubble level is something to use with experience, with an experienced eye to a degree. Seeing that it is dead center is important, but if you do that and you have a good bubble level, then it is very accurate. There are ceramic balls and there are electric meters and there are other bits and pieces to whether you like them or dislike them. That's another whole conversation, but it is a means of measuring the rifle is dead straight. Okay, so that's how you measure it. That's what it is. Now I want to explain what how it affects shooting, what it's actually doing there. It works on the fact that when we shoot our rifle, whether we're using iron sights or we're using a scope, and regardless of the height of the scope, but what we're actually doing is we'll have the barrel is where the bullet comes out, goes to target. The sight picture is looking at target. The sight picture is light. It's a laser beam. It goes straight to target. The bullet, on the other hand, at whatever distance, is always dropping, and the way we counteract that is by shooting up, by pointing the barrel up a little bit so it comes back down to target. Now, when you're looking at just 100 yards, you've got a little tiny movement in there. It's a very straightforward thing. Once you go into long-range shooting, what is actually happening is your bullet goes up and back down onto target. You're looking straight at it, the bullet's going up and down. Now, what I'm actually doing, it's a forward view, so you're seeing the compressed version. What I'm actually doing is your bullet's going up and back down. Now, the longer that is, the further up it goes. So if we come back to this straight ahead view, that bullet, when it goes up and back down on target, relies on two things. One is, you've dialed in your scope, you're using a holdover, whatever it is, you're looking at target, let's use a dialed on scope, you're looking directly at target, and that's as you wind up on your elevation, I should say, you're more and more pointing the barrel up. So the barrel's pointing up, and that means that when you fire it, the bullet goes up and then comes straight down to target. So the first bit of this is where you're pointing the barrel. The second bit of this is the bullet coming straight down onto the target. So you end up where the two things meet. The barrel bullet goes up and comes straight down to where you are aiming. So the reason that happens is we have the trajectory, which is created by where the barrel's pointing, which is up, and then gravity is the thing that pushes it straight back down to the target. Gravity is a straightforward force, without getting too scientific about everything. It is pointing, always pulling straight back down to the center of Earth, so that's where it asks the bullet to go. Now, if you take that combination, which is an up trajectory, that these two work together, where the scope sights and that goes up, is because that rifle is straight up and down. If you put a little bit of tilt on it, so we just tilt a bit over, then the trajectory has just changed. You're looking straight at target, that bullet is going to go up over here. Now, if there was a different force, if it was coming back to where, just straight to target, then it would be coming back on an angle. But of course, gravity is, as I said, always pulling straight down, straight to the center of the Earth. So what's going to happen is the bullet's going to go up and it's going to come down over here because gravity pulls it straight down from where it was. You tilt over to this side, same thing's going to happen. It's going to go up and it's going to straight down to here. So what we're actually talking about is that because the trajectory has changed from the barrel, the gravity then pulls it over to the side. It doesn't come back to target anymore, it comes back to the side. Now this is extremely consistent, and a lot of fashions completely amazing to think that a bullet can go up. Sometimes in the ELR stuff, the bullet can be going up 200 feet and come straight back down onto target. But it's how it works, and it really does work. So I suppose I'll get into some more detail about that, but what I actually did was put together a video to actually show that. First of all, I set up this target here. It's 1,040 yards, had a couple of shots at a rock, which is a little bit different distance, but a couple of shots, then went into target. My first shot on target, you can see it's dead straight.
Right.
I shoot at target, hits a little bit low, but still we'll use that. That's going to work fine.
Okay, a little bit low, but centre.
Yes.
So we'll do the same thing. Don't worry about that height. I'm just going to do the same thing, and I'm going to put.
Then tilt the scope over, tilt the rifle over. You can see the sight picture, it looks almost exactly the same.
We'll shoot with CANT. See where this goes.
Yep, ready.
Take that shot, and as you can see there, over about 15 inches to the right.
5 o'clock, half target right.
Okay, so there's that one. Now I'm going to CANT it to the opposite
And move
side.
it back to the left. Same thing, tilt it over to the edge of the sight glass there.
Okay.
Take that shot, you can see same result, 15 inches to the left.
Bottom left corner.
Now you might say, listen, that's 1,000 yards, I don't shoot that far, you know, that's only once you get out to really long stuff. Well, what I did was do one at, this is 613 yards. Exactly the same process. Got the rifle straight, shot at target, a little bit of wind there, it's a little bit off, it's a little bit to the left, but still that'll do the job. That's the first one.
That'll do. Not dead centre, but that'll do.
Yep.
So I'll do the same thing. I'm going to CANT.
Tilt the rifle over the side there, around 2 degrees. Onto target, and you can see there we've got about a 7-inch move.
That's where that was. That's just not enough to really pick it up in your scope, but enough to pick it up on the CANT.
Yep.
So now we'll go to the other side.
Now twist it back over the other side. Same thing, off the plate. Okay, well as you can see, that target there is like 450 mils wide. That's 18 inches wide. And we are not able to stay on target with, if you look at those sight pictures, and here's an image of the actual amount the rifle was twisted, you couldn't have really told that without using the bubble level. And that was not able to keep it on that target. You imagine you come back down to a 10-inch target at just 600 yards, which is precision rifle and what we should be able to do. Without getting your CANT right, you're not going to be able to hit there. And I suppose what I'm saying in a few forms, I suppose there's a few things to go into. One is the likes of people who get out to longer ranges, and especially once you get out past subsonic zones, and start to blame bullet stability and all sorts of things for a group opening up. Your CANT is so very important. My main way to do this, and what I really, I suppose the bit I want to put forward, is that to get onto target and to be accurate in what you're recording and do it quick, be able to get onto targets, move from targets, making sure and checking your CANT and learning how to check it all the time, making it into part of your pulling the trigger as you've checked your CANT is really important. The way I tend to do it in stable conditions and being able to calm everything down is I always set things up. I make locks so I can lock my CANT, or at least put a lot of restriction on it where it doesn't get moved as I shoot it. So when I shoot it, it doesn't move. Check it periodically, it doesn't move, it's all stable. But that's by putting locking mechanisms in. For the people who shoot without a CANT lock, this bipod here is one that doesn't run with doesn't come with a a locking system. The TRG doesn't come with a locking system. There's quite a few bipods that don't have a decent locking system on them. And then to shoot off your shoulder, your rifle might be flinching a little bit as it actually shoots, with torque or how it's sitting on your collarbone, that sort of stuff. And if it's not going to exactly the same place all the time, then that can be what's causing a horizontal spread. I prefer the locking system, and that means that I don't have to concentrate so hard on that. And the detail I'm saying with that is that if the cant stays the same, even if it's not dead straight, if it stays the same, it's always going to go to the same place. I actually, in some formats, I use cant to help fight wind. Sounds a bit crazy maybe, but sometimes in extreme shots, in extreme conditions where you're shooting out at 2 miles or something like that, and there's a decent wind, you've got a 15 mile an hour wind you're leaning on with a bit of a slow moving long arc bullet, I can end up where I'm at 30 or 35 minutes of wind that I'm trying to get. In some scopes you don't have that option. Now you can start to use holdover, get off your centre line and start to use holdover there. That can get complex too. In various things. One of the things you can do, and it takes a few shots to figure it out, is cant your rifle against the wind to a set position, lock it up, and then what you're actually doing is, let's say the wind's blowing through here, it's pushing it onto target like that. If you've then tilted your rifle over here, your bullet trajectory is going out here, and if there was no wind, it would be lobbing over to the left-hand side of your target. But by using the cant to go against the wind, it's lobbing over here and then getting pushed back on the target by the wind. It's a way around. It's definitely not something that I would recommend unless it's needed, but in some extreme situations it can make things work. It does take a few shots to figure out where all that's going. There isn't a set number to tilt it over, and there's probably some mathematician that can figure that out, but really in the field, especially dealing with a variable light wind, there's all sorts of other things going on, but it can be a go around, like I said. So what I want to say with that, what I wanted to point out with that, or I suppose the last bit, this was inspired by by scope height. People talking about setting up your scope higher can make cant more of a problem. It makes it a bigger issue. The truth of it is, no. In point blank shooting, in maybe 12-inch high scopes, in close range shooting, yes, there could be some issues. There are some potential issues in the fact that your centre line of your scope and your centre of your barrel, when you lean over a long way, are away from each other. So that, but in long range shooting, no, that really isn't a concern. You could have your scope alongside here. It isn't really a concern, in the same concern as when you understand this trajectory thing. Your scope's looking straight at target, your bullet goes up in the air and back down, and even that height there, that is less than in a 1,000-yard shot, that actual arc I'm putting through with my hand there. When you understand that it's going up, and if it's only a few degrees off over here, the way it's going to come down, when it comes down with gravity, as you can see, at 1,000 yards, a not that discernible distance scope line discernible image created a 15-inch movement in the bullet. So cant, regardless of scope position, is super important. Train for it. Make sure your bubble level is able to where you can see it, you can pick it up all the time. It should be part of getting your scope picture, is making sure your cant is right. If you find your cant keeps moving shot to shot, something needs to be fixed. Whether that's your lockup system is a problem, or your shot, the way you're actually mating up to the rifle, the way the rifle is behaving, there's something going on. But if you keep on having to fight with cant, then it's something that you can work on, and it will improve your shooting. It will improve your groups. You will do better if you keep control and train for and get on top of cant. It needs to stay the same all the time.